just your average everyday trucker, keeping it real. I'm your host, Chris Blodgett, and you're listening to Real Talk Tuesday. This week's topic is going to be willing to walk away from toxic situations. This is episode 164. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, appreciate you being here. First of all, I want to apologize for the delay in this week's episodes. Kind of playing catch up now because, when you look at the whatever platform you will tune in from, it'll show Tuesday when these episodes actually were posted, but of course it's not technically later than that. It's just when I upload them, I'm able to actually select a date and time and whatever. So I'm basically playing catch up. The other day during the Raw Chat segment with my buddy Dave, he mentioned, yeah, so you didn't release a new Real Talk and Raw Chat. I was like, no. I had kind of a little situation, and I ended up not having the money to pay my monthly hosting for the podcast. So it's not that bad. It's like $20. At least until it grows. Eventually, I'm sure I'll be paying more once this podcast is actually really, really big. But right now, literally it's $20 a month, and of course, I didn't have it because we to kind of lead into part of the inspiration for this week's topic. When we were looking at moving out of Tennessee and coming up here to Missouri, I was determined to get us up here. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I knew I had some money to work with, and I had things planned out. I had the new tires on my Ram. We had gotten the wife's car fixed, which of course that didn't quite work out because now that car is parked in the garage, basically needing an engine rebuild because it's starting to shudder again. So basically we're letting that car go. But and of course I'm trying my best, but I'm pretty fried, pretty tired. So that kind of was weird because so far I haven't really missed a day of work because of Lionel telling me, oh yeah, we don't have anything for you. I not really missed, but I texted my boss or whatever on 2 separate Saturdays. One of them, it was basically because I got off so late that afternoon on Saturday, and I did like a 600-mile round trip, and I technically could have come in and worked that night, but they were like, yeah, this is the first one I went from. Technically, I was already on 6 days that week, so it's like I was switching schedules from the Sunday through Friday to Tuesday to Saturday, and I was already on Friday, and they said they could use me on Saturday if I was if I was willing, if I wanted to, blah blah blah. And I was like, maybe I'll see how I feel when I get done, and by the time I got home, it was like 2:30 in the afternoon. I was wiped, so I was messaging my boss, basically being like, hey, is it possible for me to go ahead and do a Tuesday through Saturday shift? Since the coffee bill runs, I'm still doing those like 3 days a week. I'll do those Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But as far as the Sunday through Friday, where I come in and do Latham and then do a coffee bill run, that's kind of the dedicated. And the contractor that was initially doing that run took it back or whatever. So basically, like, I'm still doing the extra coffee bill runs, but I'm not doing the Latham and the coffee bill. Maybe I will if that contractor ever falls off it again. Maybe we'll get it back, and I'll be back on that run again. I didn't mind working 6 days, especially when you look at the paycheck the following week. It's like, oh man, it's like loving that. But so I get up tonight because usually Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday I'm supposed to like do my coffee bill runs. It's Friday and Saturday. They want me to call in like just before midnight or something to kind of check in with them. To see what they have planned, see if they're gonna need any help that night or whatever, just so I don't, come in and basically end up not having anything to do for a couple hours, or whatever. So I was like, all right, I can do that, it's fine. So I'll wake up at like midnight on Friday and Saturday nights, basically, call in and basically check in with them. And most of the time, past like 2 months, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have something, but it's not gonna be until like 2:30. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I basically come in at like 2 and kill time for like 30 minutes or whatever. But tonight I called in. I don't even remember who I talked to, but I know that I had the issue this afternoon when I was trying to go to sleep, where it took me like 3 or 4 hours to go to sleep. Laid in bed, I'd taken my sleep meds, tried to help knock me out. Couldn't fall asleep, couldn't shut my mind off. I think it probably got to like 6:30, 7 o'clock. Had my alarm set for like 11:30, and I'm going, I have to sleep, like I have to work tonight, this sucks. So I'm not lying, I'm not gonna lie, I literally Googled mental tricks to help you sleep. And it was like, take deep, slow breaths, like breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, exhale for 8 seconds, and then the little hypnosis tricks where you envision, you start at the tip of your toes and you work your way up your entire body. And first you feel like you release tension from your toes, feel them get heavy, and then you focus. Then you do that with your feet up to your ankles, and then your shins, and then your knees, and then your thighs, and then your waist, and then your chest, and start working the tips of your fingers. You just literally work your way up your body, just with your eyes closed, focusing on your breathing, and feeling each part of your body feel heavier, as you mentally focus on it. My problem when doing that is I'll be doing that, and then in the middle of it, like a part of my body will itch. Like I'll get like an itch on my nose or something, or an itch on the side of my head, or an itch on my chest. And so of course I might have already focused on my hands and my arms. Basically, they're nice and heavy, and I'm relaxing a little bit. All of a sudden I have to like move one of my arms to basically scratch an itch, but then I put my arm down and focus on getting it to feel heavier again. So, I was doing that, and I don't remember how much longer after that point when I finally fell asleep, because I think it was probably fairly quick afterwards, because I don't remember much after that. I know I woke up a couple times, but I went into, I was definitely sleeping pretty deep. So it's like, crashed really hard, woke up, was woken up to my alarm, 11:45, 11:50. I think I might have actually bumped it up to midnight, I think, like 12 o'clock. It went off, I went ahead, took my mask off, went ahead, dialed line haul, and, I don't remember who exactly it was, but he's like, hey, how can I help you? This is line haul. I'm like, hey, how you doing? It's Blodgett. How can I help you? How's it going? He's like, hey, Blodgett, what's up? I'm like, well, I'm just checking in with you. Like, do you know what we're gonna be? Do you know what's gonna be happening tonight? Like, what you're gonna need me for? And he said, well, yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I really can't think of anything, because like Fridays are just really weird. I'm like, okay, I was like, so what? You think maybe I'll have to plan for like coming in at like 1:30 or 2? And he goes, that is a very good question. He goes, actually, well, what? Like, I don't know of anything right now, but we'll definitely give you a call if something comes up. I'm like, okay. So I was like, well, that told me, well, we don't have anything for you. We'll reach out if something comes up that we need covered. I'm like, okay, well, then I'm not driving to work on the off chance that there's nothing running tonight. So I didn't get dressed. I stayed when I was sleeping in. I just came out because my wife, my youngest were actually just outside, out in the main room watching Netflix or whatever. And so I sat down, grabbed some dinner, because my wife had made this pasta dish, like chicken and some roasted peppers and some bacon and some other stuff in it. Basically, I don't know how she comes up with the names for these dishes, or if this was already the name of the dish, or if she named it herself. But earlier today, she goes, can you grab like heavy cream and you put the chicken out to thaw, because tonight I'm making marry me chicken. I'm like, well, I would, except I'm already married to you. She was, ha. So had some dinner, watched the last little bit of what they were watching. Then my kiddo went to bed, and then 2 a.m. after we watched one more episode, my wife got up, because I was telling her, I was like, I have a feeling I'm not working today, because they didn't have, since they told me, well, we'll call you if something comes up. So I was like, I think I'm home. So I was like, well, I'm not going to be complaining, because I'm tired of shit still. I wouldn't mind going back to bed, because I really didn't get much sleep. And she goes, yeah, I don't, you definitely look tired. I'm like, I am. I was like, I'm so exhausted. But she goes to hand me the remote for the TV, and at that point, because I turned the ringer on my phone too, because normally my phone is always silenced. Like, I never have the volume turned on. So because I'll get lots of telemarketer calls and whatnot. Hell, I've gotten calls in the middle of the night from random numbers or whatever that never leave a message. So I love the Google screen option. Like, I will literally screen a call and watch it transcribes, like, hi, this is a Google Assistant. Like, please state your name and the reason why you're calling. I don't know off the top of my head. I can't think of exactly what the actual words are that they say, but it's like basically a screening assistant from Google. The person you're calling is using me as an assistant or something. Please state your name and why you're calling, whatever. And so most of the time the caller will just hang up. Like, you won't get any kind of transcription. Every so often you get I love when they say basically, I'm calling from a company in regards to a business matter with Christopher Blodgett. Please have him call blah blah blah, or they won't even say please have him call us. Be like, I'm calling from a company looking for Christopher Blodgett. Oh really? You're calling from a company? I had no idea. I thought you were calling from a country, or a whole backyard. Or okay, yeah, well, a company. Oh, that changes everything. And on those calls, usually I'll be like, can you tell me more? And based on the business matter of Christopher Bludgeon. I'm like, okay. So I'll just hang up because I'm like, obviously you're not going to state why you're calling or who you are. It's like, if you want me to answer your phone call, identify yourself and the reason why you're calling. I'm so-and-so calling from this one collection agency about this one debt. Okay, then I could be like, do I want to talk to them about that one debt? Especially because I have a couple of collection items that are companies that aren't even around anymore. Like, hell, I have a collection account from like Sprint, the phone carrier, and they're gone. Like, they're no longer here. Like, T-Mobile bought them and absorbed them, and basically Sprint's gone. So it's like I still get that collection account messaging me like, somehow it's that, we didn't owe this much when we went to collections, but now it's like when they message me, it's like, we'll offer you a payment arrangement and a settlement offer on this $4,000 bill. I'm like, how was my old cell phone account $4,000? I was like, that doesn't make sense. And then I'm like, and plus they're not around anymore. So legally, this is one little thing that you guys should, if you guys don't know this, I'll give you a little tip. Legally, when you hear from a company trying to collect on a debt, you legally don't owe them anything. Like, they bought your debt for like pennies on the dollar or something, and then they're basically trying to collect on that debt. But you don't have a contract with that company. You have a contract with the initial company, and so it's like I have a contract with Sprint from way before, but they're not there anymore. So now I'm like, technically, I think that debt is no longer valid because that company no longer exists. But so and then talking about like the transcriptions on the calls kind of make sense in a little bit because there's part of that in the story I'm telling you guys tonight about this real talk or whatever. And apologies about the random pauses. I'm actually like, part of like if you're tired or whatever, like being hydrated actually will help to energize your body a little bit, help me to stay awake. I'm not like tired to the point where I'm dozing off, but I am tired to the point where I'm like, all right, just gotta take it slow. It's like I slept and I got some deep sleep, but I didn't get a lot of deep sleep. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm just doing my best, and thankfully gotta have the sound of mind to be willing to, like, if you are at that point where your head, like, you're nodding off, your head's dipping down, and you're maybe going off on the shoulder. I have actually had it before where like I can't go to sleep in the truck necessarily because I don't have my CPAP here in the truck, but I've had occasions where for whatever reason I didn't sleep well and I was dozing off on going down the road, so I had found a off ramp, pulled off on a big shoulder, locked the doors, and went back, laid down to set my alarm for like 30 minutes. And of course, I might not doze off or sleep or whatever in those 30 minutes, but like you lay down, you close your eyes, basically like 30 minutes went by and like I must have slightly dozed off a little bit at least because I got up going, holy crap, I actually feel a little better. So my buddy Goldberg, from the Raw Chat, he calls those safety CSs, where like you pull over, you take a small nap just so that you can get a little bit refreshed, get a little bit more energized, and keep going, So, but back when we moved from Tennessee, I already told you guys about like the movers, Planet Movers and Starline Van Lines, how I was quoted one thing over the phone, and then it changed a little bit when I actually walked room by room with Starline Van Lines on the phone and was telling them what we had. But then when they sent Planet Movers out there, so much scam crap with them, where basically we went through and they're like, oh yeah, everything looks great. Okay, 4 hours, and then of course like after like 7 hours there, they're like, oh, we're only halfway loaded. That's all the room you get. Otherwise, you got to pay instead of 7,500, you got to pay 12,500. It's like, so, but it was the night. But technically, when I knew that the price jumped to 7,500 from 3,500, and then it jumped up from that, I had reached out to my mother-in-law for help. Like, hey, do you know, like this is what's going on. Like, we're literally trying to move tomorrow, but the price went up, and like we have funds, but if I pay all this out, we're not gonna have money to actually get to Missouri ourselves. We're gonna be stuck here because we won't be able to afford it. Well, you know, you never did such and such, and you got to do this, that, whatever. And once you do this, you know, we'll talk. And I'm like, well, we're literally gonna have to move tomorrow, so I guess never mind. I'll just figure this out myself. And I had my RAM that was fully paid off, which I was like dragging my feet so bad, and not like I didn't want to surrender that title and get a title loan on the truck. I wanted to you know, basically just keep that paid off, like keep it like where it's loan free and clear, not worry about it, whatever. But when it came down to it, we literally had to move, and we had all this extra expense, and I was like, well, crap, I don't know what else to do. There's no other options. I went ahead and I bit the bullet, and I went ahead and I started researching title loans on the RAM, because it was like, I think it was like the value of it was between like 12 and 20,000. And I was like, you know, I've seen some places like they can get you up to like 10,000. I was like, that would help, you know, a lot, because not only would it get us moved, we'd have a little bit to live off of for a minute, for like maybe 2 weeks or something up in Missouri before we're like, that way we wouldn't have to be in a big hurry to like start work right away. We could take some time and get settled in. So I found this one that I'm gonna name drop so you guys can try to avoid it. They're called Loan Mart, Loanmart. I came up with them, or came upon their site, and they, you know, of course, they're like, yeah, you're approved for like 8,000, blah blah blah. And then I was like, okay, cool, you know. So submitted all you know, pictures, submitted a picture of the title, mileage, whatever. And then they came back like, well, based on the new information that we got from your pictures and your mileage and stuff, it's actually like their approval dropped to like 7,600, 7,700. But then with their taxes and title fees and whatever, basically that would only get like 74. And I'm like, okay. I was like, but the truck's worth like 12. Like, why is it only like 7,500? He's like, well, we don't give you the full value of the truck, like deliberately, because, you know, like, yeah, it's worth that much, but you're not selling it to us, so we're just giving you the title loan, so we approve you for less. I'm like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. So went through that process with them. They sent me like a UPS, like emailed me like a UPS thing, whatever, like scan code for, and I had to go to like the UPS store, drop the title in a envelope, or one of those little UPS envelopes, and mail it off to them. And then basically within 24 hours, I had a direct deposit of like the $7,400 or whatever change, whatever. So I was like, that's cool. I was literally like the night we were leaving, I got that deposit. Like, all right, cool, we're good, you know. Or the night that we were trying to leave anyway, when the movers were there pretty much all night. We did leave it the following day. But so, you know, and I knew that the rate, the terms and the rate on that loan were not the greatest. But I mean, hell, it's a title loan, so what do you expect? That's kind of what I figured. $7,500. My payment was going to be $795 for like 3 years, and of course, when telling my buddy Dave about that this week, you know, about all the things that went down this week, I told him about how much I was paying on that loan, you know, for the 3 years. It's like basically I was going to be paying like $21,000 for a $7,500 loan. He's like, "Good Lord, man!" I was like, "Yeah, I know." I was like, I didn't want to do it, but I was determined to do whatever I had to do to get us out of that situation back there in Nashville, and get us out of that house, that apartment back there that was not in the greatest shape. And dealing with household, the baby daddy, my grandson's bio dad and the stepmom and the other grandparents and stuff. It's better to not have to deal with that situation in in person. Like it's better to be able to be in another state, basically deal with it. It's just stressful being too close. So, but they said that they had like certain benefits with that loan, that as you pay it down, as you make your payments, your monthly payment is actually going to decrease, the interest is going to decrease, whatever. And I was like, all right, I'm basically figuring, okay, it's like a long, it's overpaying on it, but I'll treat it like a regular car loan. Like you want to pay it by the due date, but as long as you pay it within a time frame after that. Usually, like if you're less than as long as you keep it less than a certain past due, you're fine. As far as you're not gonna run the risk of losing your vehicle, but you might get charged a late fee, but since we just moved, getting that payment done on the first, by the end of the first week in June, or actually first week in July, basically it was a little hard to do because, I think I had just started driving out here for the new FedEx group, or new FedEx employer, and so I'm, just kind of shorten it down a little bit as far as with them. Basically when I was about 2 weeks past due and I was communicating with them saying hey, I'm so sorry, I just started a new job, I'll be getting that $800 payment, I'll probably break it down into a couple weeks, probably pay half one week, half next week, starting this next week, and do it that way. And they're like, okay, yeah, that's fine, yeah, just let us know, just communicate with us. But I'm like, okay. But then a couple days later, I'm getting more emails basically saying you're this much past due, you're about almost 2.5 weeks, and if we don't hear from you, if we don't have some kind of payment arrangement, you run the risk of being repossessed. And I'm going, I'm only 2 weeks past due, and you guys are threatening repossession after 2 weeks. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I was like, I told you I could get, and of course I'm looking at their website, and I'm getting all these. And I'm seeing the website says as long as you won't lose your benefits, the payment rate or payment reduction and interest rate reduction, as long as you're less than 30 days past due on your payment. And I'm like, okay, see, and then of course I had an email from them on a few days prior, it was Thursday, a week ago from yesterday, technically, because like I said, I'm technically recording this after the date when it's going to say it posted, because I'm still going to list it for Tuesday, because I'm still planning to do a real talk and a raw chat for this next week. Trying to basically, like I said, trying to get back on track, trying not to fully skip a week, because I just post it late. But so I had an email from them on Thursday, basically saying that I had to get at least one full payment in within 10 days. I had to get it basically by the 3rd when my next payment was going to be due, in order to keep my payment reduction and interest rate reduction. So I was like, okay, that's when I saw that. All right, cool. I can definitely get a payment in by the 3rd. That's not an issue. But then right off the bat, they're emailing me basically saying that this past Sunday, I was basically getting emails from them on Saturday saying that I needed to schedule something with him, because on Sunday it was going to go up for a repossession review. And I'm going so, and I'm thinking okay, so basically this is why they give you a title loan for quite a bit less than what the vehicle's worth, because then they're strict on that first payment. If you run late on it, they repossess your car, and then they can turn around and sell your car, not only make the money back that they lent you, but also make a profit on that vehicle. Basically, it's they prey on you, I mean, it's a title loan. I should have figured, should have thought of it, but so I I get that email and saying basically like it's gonna go in repo review tomorrow. You need to call us, blah blah blah. And I said I've been communicating with you guys through email, and you guys, and saying like, well, yeah, we could make an arrangement with you over email, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it secures your vehicle. You gotta actually call us, talk to somebody. And I'm like, okay, I will call you guys on my way home. And I tried to call them before, but their automated system is really weird. Basically, it's like, are you making a payment? I'm like, no. But trying to get an actual agent on the phone, you go through a couple of different options, and then you finally get to the right part where you get somebody on the phone. So I finally get somebody. I'm kind of explaining, like, yeah, I can make a payment like $350 right now, and then the remaining 400 something to get that $825 with the late fee. Paid by Thursday, which will still be by the 31st. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, 31st, that still puts you within the window. You're fine, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously he goes, oh, crap. I should have read this a little bit closer. Actually, sir, like, I need a full payment right now in order to secure your vehicle. I'm like, I can't do that right now. Like, I don't have it. Well, sir, unfortunately, like, it's going to go up for repo review tomorrow, because, like, and I'm like, well, sir, like, your site says that you have to be less than 30 days past due. We're only within, like, the 2.5 to 3 week mark. And I'll have that payment in before my next due dates. And I haven't, I said, I have an email from you saying that I have 10 days to get that payment in. And he goes, yeah, we sent you a payment reminder like a week and a half ago. I'm like, no, sir, I'm looking at the email right now. It was 2 days ago. He goes, what? Like, yeah. Like, it says 2 days ago, you have 10 days to do so. That means I still have another 8 days, according to this email. And he's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, sir. Like, by this point, I'm on because I've been trying to get my wife into another vehicle. Since her car, basically, the engine rebuild, there's probably other stuff wrong. I just figured, all right, we'll shop around, we'll talk to different dealerships over the next couple weeks. We'll see if we can get approved for anything. Like, get her into something that's reliable, because she just started working. She got hired recently. Has now been working this past week. So, our schedules kind of overlap, so we wanted to make sure that we could both get to our jobs and not have to worry about how we're going to get there. We got to pay an Uber or whatever. So I'd come across this Facebook ad for this Ford dealership, and they of course had Jeeps listed, and it was like like a Facebook event. We could finance anybody. It doesn't matter your situation. We can figure it out. Like, I mean, we'll talk to So I messaged them, and basically they're like, yeah, when can you come in here? I'm like, I can pick my wife up. I'm on my way home now. I can pick her up and get head in there. I was like, but we don't have money down because we just moved to the area, and we also don't have the best credit. He's like, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Okay. So I told the wife, I was like, well, this might be another dealership we should go talk to. They're doing a Facebook event, whatever. She was, all right, I'll be ready when you get here. I'm like, all right, cool. So then I was talking to a Lone Mart on the way home, and when I pulled in and parked in the driveway, I said, I'm here, but I'm just out here on the phone with Lone Mart trying to talk to them about this month's payment, trying to work something out. She was, all right. So she came out and got in the car while I'm going back and forth with the guy, telling him, like, so if I make this payment, you guys might still repossess my car tomorrow, or my truck tomorrow. He's like, well, I mean, it's a possibility, because like the only way to secure it is to pay that first thing. Like, we're stricter on the first payment. Then after that, if it was the second payment, I can work with you a little bit more. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm a brand new customer. You literally just financed me. And you get 2 weeks in, and you're like, well, you're late. You're late by a couple, like 2 weeks. So I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm like, so if I pay you and I lose the car, and I was honest with him, and this is after my wife got in the car. I said, sir, can I tell you something? He goes, yeah. I'm like, if you guys repossess my truck, you're not getting a dime. Like that's it. I'm not paying you anything else after that point. I will just go figure out how to get into another vehicle, and you guys will just have to like auction off or whatever, do whatever you got to do. And you can try to send me a collection bill for whatever is left if you guys sell it for. But you're not getting a dime. Like, I lost a car once before, like many years back, and it was like we had I think it was like 18,000 we still owed on it. And they sold it for 7, and they tried to come after us for like 11,000. Basically, I never responded. I just never talked to them. You know, it's like, if you wanted the full amount, you should try to sell it for the full amount. Like, well, we auctioned it off for a quarter of what it was worth, but you're still on the hook for the remaining money. I'm not. You got the property back. You know, like that loan was secured by the vehicle, and you got the vehicle back, and you sold it off for a lot cheaper than what technically the initial balance was. So, as far as I was concerned, I don't owe that balance to you anymore. But so, you know, of course, my wife chimes in. She's like, "Sir, we're trying to we're trying to like figure this out because we both need reliable transportation to get to work, and if we can pay you something, would that you know that make it safe?" And he's like, "Well, ma'am, like I'm telling your husband, like no, like it wouldn't because like it's his first payment, blah blah blah." And we're just like, my wife and I keep looking at each other and rolling our eyes and like just sighing because we're like, this is so frustrating. So I was like, all right, well, if I pay that $350 today, and I set up an arrangement with you to pay the rest on Thursday, even though that won't necessarily secure the vehicle, when they do the repo review, will that look good, look better on us? Like, will that be, you know, would that make them kind of like, well, I mean, yeah, it's up for repo review, but he's made a payment. He said he promised to pay on Thursday, you know, and they might hold off. He goes, yeah, it's not a guarantee, but if you have at least a payment in, and you have a promise to pay on that next week, and you actually go through with that, that looks good on you. You have a better chance, and they're probably not going to take it. I'm like, okay. At that point, at the same time, I was researching refinancing, looking up other banks, you know, thinking, okay, I need to do something because I've already had a bad taste in my mouth about that company. Going like, I've only had the loan for 2 weeks or for a month, and I was 2 weeks late on the payment. Between 2 and 3 weeks. Going on the third week, but already was telling him when I would make the payment. It would be paid by the deadline, you know, as far as like staying within that window. And then being threatened that they're gonna take action, that they're gonna do this, they're gonna repossess it, blah blah blah. I'm going, you know what? Like, I have to do something. I'm not just gonna sit on it and wait and then have them repossess the car, and I'm just out the vehicle and, you know, basically have no options. So I was like, I'm either gonna refinance or I'm gonna maybe try to trade it in. I'll see what I can do. But I wasn't sure at that point. So, you know, we go to talk to this dealership, of course, and, you know, we're talking about basically getting my wife into a car, and, you know, we're kind of explaining the situation. And he's like, "Do you guys have a trade-in?" I'm like, "No, we don't." You guys, you're not trading in the Ram out there? He's like, "Well, no." I was like, "Because we both need reliable transportation." I said, "But I am looking at possibly trading that in or refinancing it because I mentioned the title loan." I said, "This is what's going on with them. It's a very predatory situation. I'm not going to deal with 2 years of dealing with these people because it's just bad." And he's like, "Well, here, how about this? Like, what if we could get your wife into a car, like the Jeep that she wants, and we could get you into something better, get you financed better, you know, you got better terms, better situation, get you guys both in a better situation. Like, would you be open to that?" I was like, "If you can pull it off, yeah." So basically, we ended up, I mean, it's definitely the easiest car buying experience we've ever had because we weren't really haggling at all. Like, usually we're like, "Well, no, we only have this much down." Like, "Well, the bank, what's this?" None of that. Like, the guy came back with little sheets or whatever that had like, "Well, the bank wants this much down," and he goes, "But I know that you don't have that." So he goes, "So we're just gonna," he just crosses that off. He goes, "So no money down," and then he crossed off the monthly payment amount, dropped it down by like another $50, and then this is gonna be your payment. Does that look acceptable to you? And I'm still looking at it going, oh, well, this is after, so I got ahead of myself a little bit, but after talking, you know, and him saying like, "So let me see, can I get your key to your Ram so we can look at it?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he comes back, he goes, "All right, you guys want to go see the Jeep that we found for your wife?" I'm like, "Sure." So we go look at this Trailhawk, you know, really nice Jeep, 2022, heated everything, like heated seats and steering wheel, all the bells and whistles. And Took it out, test drove it, came back. Okay, cool. He was like, well, what do you think? She's like, I love it. It's nice. And then so we come back in and we're sitting down because of course before test driving that car, they came in and they were telling her, yeah, we have a Trailhawk that we think you might like. And then they had another guy that came over with our sales guy, and he looked at me, he goes, so what kind of vehicle are you looking for? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I mean, I just don't want to go to like a sedan. I said, I like trucks because I don't want to give my truck up. And he's like, how about a Ranger? I'm like, nah. I didn't know. Why not? I'm like, because like, I was like, I don't, if I'm gonna have a truck, I want to be able to do stuff with that truck. He was like, what? I'm like tow stuff. He said, what do you tow? I'm like, I've towed my wife's car, I've towed my daughter's car, you know, I think I towed a U-Haul behind it, like U-Haul trailer at one point, you know. I was like, and I was like, I like to, when I have a truck, I like to be able to put it to work if I have to, but otherwise it's just nice to have a real truck that can actually do stuff. No offense to anybody that has Rangers or Tacomas or anything like that, they're nice trucks. I mean, they make more sense than like the Jeep trucks, the Jeep Patriots, or the other kind of cars like the Honda, whatever, Ridgelines or whatever that like are the car that technically are cars that have a truck bed. Like, yeah, okay, you can fill your truck bed up and, you know, load a lot of groceries, but you can't really do much else with it. Like, can't really tow a lot with it. You know, that's just my personal opinion. I just like to have a truck and I like to have it where I can actually do stuff with it, you know. So, you know, so we're sitting there after test driving the Jeep, and then of course the guy comes back and he's like, hey, you want to go see what we found for you? And I'm like, oh, I'm like, sure, let's go. We're walking outside, I'm not sure what to expect. Okay, they found an SUV, or they found this or that, you know, like a little, maybe they put me in a Rogue or something. Come out, there's like a 2018 Silverado, you know, like crew cab, fully decked out, chrome, everything, like nice truck. A little bit more mileage than my Ram, but loaded inside a lot more with like the bells and whistles. Like my Ram didn't really, it had some stuff in it, but it wasn't like, it was pretty basic. I mean, this is like, I got in like, or I'm looking at it going, I'm like, wow, okay, I'll admit, I was a little concerned when you guys said you found something for me. I was thinking like a sedan or something. He goes, no, we heard you. Like, we're gonna find something that actually was something that you want. I'm like, all right, cool. I really appreciate that, because we've been roped into like taking two older SUVs to trade in, and we came out with a Camry because they kind of like, well, this is all we got. I'm like, oh crap. So to kind of shorten that story up a little bit, we test drove it, everything worked out. We were like blown away that we actually both, like, she's in a Jeep and I'm in a Chevy Silverado crew cab, fully loaded, fully decked out. And so, but I gave them all the information as far as the title loan people, as far as like their contact info, their address, phone number, the balance remaining. And at that point, because I only had like $100 to my name at that point, I was telling the wife, I said, I really regret paying that $350 to them earlier, because that would have come in very helpful right now, because we're kind of broke at that point. And she's like, yeah, you know, the salesman was like, yeah, that money's gone. I'm like, yeah, I know. So we got like, you know, we got through that, signed, got a little paperwork signed, moved the stuff over from the Ram to the Silverado. And of course, you know, it was bittersweet because I love my Ram. I had no intention of parting with it, even though with the predatory feeling of that title loan, I was looking into it as far as like trading it in for something else to get into a regular finance agreement with a different vehicle, or to refinance it through an actual regular bank that does auto loans and basically get into a better situation that way. I don't mind making a truck payment. It's just I don't want to make a truck payment and then be with the company that if you're a week late, they're gonna be like, hey, if you don't pay by tomorrow, we're gonna take your vehicle. Like traditional car loans, that's not what they do. You have a little bit of a cushion. So, but got everything situated, stuff. I ended up not making that other half of that payment on Thursday because, of course, I no longer have that car, that truck, and I wasn't planning to say anything. I was gonna just let them find out that, you know, they had nothing that they were able to repossess, because the dealership would send them a check and they'd be like, oh crap, you sold it, what the heck? So I was kind of waiting. then of course after Thursday, like yesterday, I was getting emails, calls, texts, everything from them. They were like literally blowing my phone up. Like, you didn't pay your other half yesterday, and like the next 2 days you're gonna lose your benefits, your truck's gonna get repossessed. And I was still waiting, going, I'm so tempted to say something to them. A friend of mine, Rico, was like, no, bro, just like they're gonna get paid. They're like, everything's gonna be fine. Like, you're good. Like, you don't have to worry about them getting your truck because you already traded in. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was like, but I'm having trouble sleeping because I'm stressed because they're blowing up my phone. And so after a bunch of blow-ups and texts or whatever, it was like, I finally replied back, or I had a voicemail. You need to call us right now. It's an urgent business matter. We're calling from a company, and we're calling for Christopher Blodgett, and you need to call us right now. I finally replied back to the email. I was like, you know, please be advised, I no longer have possession of that vehicle. It's been traded in. Loan Mart will be receiving a check from the dealer paying off the balance of that loan. Please cease all further communications via text, calls, emails, or otherwise from this point going forward. Thank you, and have a great day. And then tonight when I got up, I saw that I had on a text message alert thing where you opt in and they give you updates. I basically had seen that I didn't opt out. You know, when you say like stop and they'll disconnect you, or you know, you'll be taken out of that. I had basically not said anything, and basically I had an alert on that message group saying basically you've been unsubscribed, or you successfully unsubscribed from text alerts. I was like, cool. I was like, maybe they got my message. You know, they took me out of their alerts, whatever, updated my file, whatever, because I was like, you know, they're saying if it goes past 30 days, we're gonna notify, you know, your credit report will be updated, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, you know. So basically at that point, hopefully, I am now disconnected from that, you know, that lender, and I'm no longer having to deal with them. That was kind of the inspiration for this week's topic, because I thought I could just deal with them, you know, pay them, figure out, like, you know, do whatever I had to do to get them paid. And apologies here, I'm actually here at the Coffeeville Hubs, getting ready to drop stuff. But, you know, do whatever I could to get them paid and to just deal with them, you know, and just pay them as much as I could, to try to pay ahead on the loan. That was my plan anyway, to start paying weekly and pay extra to have that balance drop quicker. But then I'm like, if you're threatening to repossess my vehicle after 2 weeks, I'm like, it doesn't get any more predatory than that. So basically, I knew that it was probably a good idea to do what I had to do to try to get out from under it, refinance it, trade it in something. And I had no intention of actually doing it when I did, but you know, when a dealership, you know, when you're talking to them after multiple experiences where they're like, yeah, they want like 10 grand down. This time they're like, actually, we don't even have any money down. We'll get that loan paid off. We'll get you into this other vehicle. And I'm like, you can do it, go for it, you know. But Be willing to walk away. Don't leave yourself in those really bad situations. Just do what you gotta do, you know, and get out. You know, get into a better situation. Even a high interest regular auto loan, you know, where you're paying on it for like 6 years is still better than basically what it's like $7,500 loan that pay $800 a month for like 3 years. It's like I paid that out of my rent when I bought it. So be willing to walk away. Even, I mean, it's like I paid off that truck and really didn't want to take the title loan on it. Only to basically get into a position where I had to do something to get us up here. Like, you know, had to get the money somehow, and then I got it. And then it was like, okay, now I'm in this bad situation with this lender that only literally like you're late on that first payment. Basically, I think that's probably what they do. They probably lend the money. And then if you're late on that first payment, they repossess it, and they turn around and sell that vehicle for more than what your loan was worth. So basically, they make money off you, you know. So, you know, but that's pretty much all I got for you on that topic. I hope you guys found value in it, you know, because it's like just it's part of what these real talk episodes are all about. Is like, you know, shared real life stories with you guys, things that hopefully other people could learn from, you know, learn to avoid. So on that note, guys, you know what I always say, I appreciate you guys being here. Keep pushing forward, keep believing, believe you can, believe you will, and you're already halfway there. And then you just have to go out there and do it. Anybody who's looking to for a passive way to basically earn and stack Bitcoin, check the show notes because I always have the link posted there. But it's basically passivebitcoin247.com. Go check that out. But otherwise, as always, stay tuned for the next Raw Chat episode coming up, and we will see you guys again next week's Real Talk Tuesday. On that note, you guys have a great one, and we'll talk to you then. Have a good one.